Okay, here I will quickly cover some of the basics, items that we will not cover later, and also to orient yourselves a little bit. I made myself a really long presentation here of 2 pages and made a little agenda. First, let's talk about the orb, which is on the top left here. Now, the orb has the usual functions like open, save as, print, etc. But I like to especially draw your attention to the PowerPoint options, which are here on the bottom. In the PowerPoint options, you have a few buttons, like, for example, resources. In resources, this is maybe the most interesting one. Microsoft Diagnostics. If you have a problem with PowerPoint, it's limping somehow, you can go here and run some diagnostics, and very often it fixes the problems. So that is helpful. Then there are some Microsoft Office online tutorials that you may want to look at. And they're typical developers tutorials from a developer's point of view, other than a user's point of view. And what I didn't like that they use one of those artificial speakers. Well, anyhow, you can have a look at it. Then we won't cover those. You have the advanced button here where you can make all kinds of settings about editing options, cut and paste, display options, slideshow, etc. And there's some more. Then the proofing we won't cover. Save is save how to save presentations and some other items. And last not least, the uh, the most popular one here, I guess, is where you can, for example, set your skin. It's right now in black, as you have seen. Um, if you want silver, uh, you set silver and you say okay, and now it's in silver. I guess I'll leave it that way because I notice it shows better on the video recorder. Okay, so much for that. Um, let's go to the top here. On the top here, you have the quick access toolbar. Now, I really don't like it up here. If you right click here and you say show the quick access toolbar below, then it slides below, and that is much easier. You have a few options here that I put in. The save option. Then this one is a very important one. That's the undo button. Whenever you make a mistake, you hit this undo button and you go back to where you were before. And if you want to go back to your mistake, you go to the redo button. And then I also put open in here. You can actually, if you want, um, right click and say customize this quick access toolbar, and that gets you back to the PowerPoint options. And here you have all kinds of other things you can put in into this quick access toolbar, and some of them we don't even see here. So let me just scroll this down. Well, I suggest not to put too much in. You highlight it, like I did this open, and then you add it, and then you got it in. But be careful, you don't want a quick access toolbar that you can manage anymore. Okay, now let's talk about the ribbon. Now there is no ribbon yet because I have been hiding it, which may be useful if you have a very small screen, because when you click on one of the tabs, the ribbon will appear. But of course, you can show it all the time. You just go up here and right click and see. I minimize it and you unminimize it, and here it is. Um, we just acquaint you with the tabs here. Here is the home tab where you can make new slides, and the all the usual editor functions here. Then some um, shapes here, insert shapes, etc. We'll get to those once we are doing all the other slides, so I won't go into the detail to double cover that here. Here is the insert button where you can insert pictures. The most important one is shapes, which you probably use quite a few times. So there's all the shapes you can insert. That's, for example, how I inserted this shape here with this icon. You can insert smart art, charts, etc. Then the next one, and let me activate here something, would be the hyperlink. If I wanted had a URL on the clipboard, I could paste it in here and make this box that I just activated here a hyperlink. And a text box. If you want to draw a text box, you go here. And then there is here on the right side movie and sound. Now be careful with that. This is not embedded. You have to have the file on the system. So if you want to upload your presentation or your tutorial, you cannot use those. Sound you have to embed, and I'll get to that later. I'll explain how to do that. This will only play the sound that is on your system if the file is on your system. And movie you have to upload to, for example, YouTube or so, or Vimeo, and actually put the link in. So those things are a little iffy if you don't know what they're doing. Okay, next, design. There's a lot of design options. They do all kinds of things. So let me just go over those here a little bit so that you see. And of course, there are more options. Those were not enough. And then there is more color options, etc., etc. So there is quite a lot of options, and we'll cover that later too. Here's a nice extra one, which I do not cover later: background styles. You can make your background colors if you like, and it's nice because if you go into a dark color, the writing appears in white, and if you are in a fair color, the writing appears in black. That is pretty nice. Then animation, that's something you can or cannot. It depends whether you like. That's how your slide will open. For example, you can open it like that, or like this. Now let me just show you something here. The default set to fast, and that's unfortunate because fast is really fast. I would always set it to slow. That makes more sense. See that rolls it nicely, and even that is much nicer. And then of course there are a lot more, and even that is not enough. There is more. So you have these options. Oops, I kicked my laptop here, and it said that it stopped the disk, but it can't stop the disk because that is an SSD. So it's funny. Okay, a slideshow. That is probably one of the buttons you're gonna use the most. Slideshow. You have two slideshow options here. You can from the current slide or from the beginning. Usually you want the current slide because that shows you, if you click on it, how actually your slide will show if the user looks at your presentation. So slideshow is one you want to check all the time, whether your slide looks the way you want it to look. And then when you want to get out of it, you hit escape and you get out of it. And if you want to look at the whole presentation, of course, you go from the beginning, and that will show the whole presentation from the beginning. Okay, and now these two buttons I'm going to skip, but there's one additional button. Let me activate that, and it comes up. It's the format button. Also here, up here, there is the drawing tool format button, and the format button gives you a lot of options of formatting. For example, now we have this little box active. You can put all kinds of colors in, and all kinds of letters. If you highlight text, the formatting tab always comes when you highlight text or activate a window. This here is also a window, and that would also call it. And then you have text fill here, and you bring to front, and these are editing options that you may be familiar. And then here, this is nice. If, for example, you want this smaller, you can make it smaller with these buttons, or if you want it narrower, you can make it narrower. So anyhow, this is a very quick overview over the possibilities that you have, and something that we will not cover later So I hope that this was a useful presentation.